because I met you last summer. So yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a minute.
Nice.
So yeah, I was like, let me call Martie and see if she wants to do it because,
Thank you. I
when I met
do.
you were super open and super just like, yeah, girl, here go the keys. And I'm like, you grow up in the industry and you grow up kind of like an entertainment. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
the gatekeeper, like,
They do, and it's so weird. I was actually telling someone about that. I'm like, I guess because I've been able, I've been blessed to do entertainment PR as well as like brand and other styles. And for some reason, entertainment still is just this closed, like, and I'm like, why are y'all like that? And that's why things stay the same, or like things don't get taken as serious in entertainment PR as other, facets of PR, other avenues, because like they're so closed on certain things. And I think it's a disservice, especially to the people we work with and can help, but it really is weird. It's really weird.
yeah, it is. And I think people have to like, I mean, in order for this to go, I think I heard somebody say if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And it's like
Yeah, go with the
that,
time.
that's pretty much what it is because it's like you have to share your you don't have to, but it's better to share your resources and
It's better to.
I mean, you definitely
It
vet the
really
person
is.
that you're giving your information to, but like straight up, like just tell us, help a sister out.
Yeah, but then it's gotten to the point that it's hard. I don't want to say hard, but sometimes it's a little weird sometimes to do that in entertainment PR because you don't know who you're really helping and if they're going to be able to reciprocate, or if they're honest about it. Everybody's something in like, oh yeah, I'm this, and then when it comes down to actually like doing the work or holding true to that, no, it doesn't always work out. So, and those are things you learn along the way. So it does. While I totally agree, if you want to go fast, go by yourself, long, whatever, but definitely it can be a hard process when you pull people in. A team building it's a little different. So the ones I do work with, I keep very close.
And I appreciate that. I
Very close.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just really kind of like definitely don't be a fool.
Yeah.
Um, and play the game. But at the
Mm-hmm.
core of it, I think like, just what I'm talking about specifically is working out of a place of abundance versus a place of lack. Because if
Yes.
that's kind of what I'm talking about, and like, not 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 sharing resources because the person ain't shit. Definitely don't share resources with them. But if you're not sharing resources because you think somebody is going to do better than you, or if you think somebody is going to be better, or whatever, fill in the blank, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Like
Yeah.
that's for the birds.
I think the only time I've withheld, and I'll be honest, I think the only time I've withheld is if I thought the person might have not been I don't think their communication styles might have matched. So I would handle it for the person. And that's really just on a sense
Mm,
of some people, and I've worked with people where I'm the filter,
right.
or they tell me literally out their mouth, I'm the face, but they might use, because people sometimes find it easier approaching me than others for some reason. And I usually have to act as a bridge. So when I see that as the case, sometimes like, okay, if I give this contact to you, are y'all gonna like rub each other the wrong way? And then
Yeah.
and then that contact is like, why did you give that person my number?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
or
Yes.
whatever. So I've done that before. And then also I definitely respect when a person says, hey, don't give my information out because of whatever reason. And if someone comes to me wanting the resource, I let them know that. But if I feel like it's viable, I still act as a bridge. Um, just because honestly, I had no mentor in PR. I had no segue. I had nothing. So everything that I've gained has definitely either been on, of course, my work, but someone at least helping me, giving me a chance, giving me a contact. So I try to make sure I kind of repay that back.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. For sure. So when you first started Role Model Publicity, what was the? So when did you start?
Okay, so I don't remember, honestly. I think, okay, I took my first. I'll say client to where I thought I knew what I was doing in 2000 and like 10, 11. And this is why I say
Oh,
I thought I knew what I
wow.
was doing. Girl, I didn't even know what a step and repeat was. I didn't know. I literally just thought PR was, I actually thought PR was more along the lines of what now people would call a booking agent. And
Mm.
because I went to school for journalism and sports marketing and management, so I had more marketing experience as far as like branding something versus the actual like media relations part and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And to this day, that's why I love working with brands and public figures and stuff, because I get to incorporate a lot of the branding stuff versus just so focused on placement and media acquisition, which is great and needed. But I think the creative thought process that goes along with the marketing and branding part is still my first love. My master's is in advertising. So don't ask me to do anything in Photoshop. I'll tell you how it should look. I'm not doing it though,
Yeah.
because I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm a Canva queen. Haven't really gotten to Photoshop yet. But yeah, so probably around, I would say 2010. And he was a music client. And to this day, he's like my best friend. And we did a lot of headway. And that was when I realized, outside of, yeah, connections are great, but kindness gets you more than connections. Like kindness will put you in more places than connections will. Connections are great, especially if you just want like, hey, can I do this one time? You know, whatever.
Right.
And it
Right.
works. Kindness to where it builds a relationship or rapport with someone is 250 times better than that. And I said that, for instance, this artist, like he was from North Carolina, because I'm in Charlotte, he was too, barely had 5,000 followers on Instagram. And we were able, just by me literally doing my social media stalking that I do, where it's able to take over like hot new hip hop social media. We did a lot of stuff with a lot of the bigger, more mainstream hip hop sources that normally require a huge social following for an artist to be involved. And it was literally just because I had built these relationships with someone, probably asked the right person and things like that. And so I tell, especially when I work with new clients and they all want this and this and this, I'm like, social numbers are great, especially now within the pandemic, because a lot of the outlets want to know that they're going to get the most engagement if they, have someone on. But your personality is always going to be what keeps people there and
Right.
builds the relationship. And I guess because I kind of speak that for my clients, I carry it much so for myself.
Right.
And but it's just like a life policy. Like if your attitude and your kindness and your, what you portray to people is 100%, then usually all of that will come back in what you're asking for.
Right. And this is how I know that you actually believe that, because of this. It was only one interaction. I haven't seen you since then, but people can
Mm-mm.
recognize you have a really warm, kind of just generous
Yeah.
personality. And I felt
Thank
comfortable
you.
talking to
Yeah.
you. Yes, girl. I felt comfortable talking to you as a woman and just as a new person, because I know it can be intimidating to ask people, especially people who are on the panel or who are speaking or who is
Yeah.
obvious.
Or like they try to think the
Yeah.
who are the I'm sorry, who are the I guess experts in certain things. And I tell people I learn every day. You know, I I wing it every day because no one's the same. None of my clients are the same. And like, for instance, I have a young guy, and these are two music clients, and one he's done a lot in his area. He's in New York, well known, great following. So the way that I talk to people for him is a lot different. And just because and then I have another guy who's brand new in Atlanta, but his video hits like 2 million views, like that. And this is his first song, but his social following, the numbers are small, but his engagement's crazy. Like he might have 1,500 followers, but 900 of them like one picture, or he gets 10,000 views on a TikTok in 5 minutes and stuff. So though that interaction and engagement is so important. But again, I love working with people where I feel that, the same genuineness that I put out.
Right.
I can tell I could tell when things are fake and non-authentic,
Transactional, and you don't give
which
a
is actually
fuck.
one thing I actually hate about this industry. And people ask me why I'm not always the ready to jump at things publicist. It's because sometimes you can feel a little vulturistic in there. It's like a lot of take.
Yeah.
And that's against my like my personal practices and my human nature. So I try to sometimes, I don't want to say be over generous, but I've never shied away from when I see someone saying, "Hey, I have a question." Because I was actually the one scared to ask questions. So I made a lot of mistakes. And the mistakes were mostly on my part, but in doing that, I proved myself because I would go crazy trying to correct that mistake. Like
Right.
I would go broke trying to correct the mistake. But yeah, I learned a lot just by, watching and kind of, I'm a big researcher. Like, don't let me find out a person's name. If you let me find out one person's name, I guarantee you by the end of that day, I'll have their phone number, email address, possibly their assistant's email address and name, probably follow them on every social media platform. And that was the way that I learned. Like, I was scared to ask questions. And like I said, I didn't have a mentor. I literally just had me and Google. And it worked out. So.
And it's the crazy thing about social medias and really just the age of the internet, especially, in this relationship building industry, because that's really what it is. Like you said, it's a bunch of relationships.
Yeah.
What hot seat, who's the hottest now, whoop-de-whoop. And so doing your due diligence, and now you don't have to run the streets really. All you got to do is keep on the internet and do your research. You ain't got to go to the events because ain't none. You don't have to, you don't have to do all of that. You can if you want to, but everything you want is online. Especially as a publicist.
Exactly. And I remember, when I first started, it wasn't as big, but I had as I got to know people and I had learned, like, at a time, people only wanted a publicist who was in Atlanta, New York, or LA, because that's pretty much the only places you could get to know people. And it wasn't in me in Charlotte. Of course, my network was closer in Atlanta, but I loved working with people in LA because they were like this, like, efficient. New York is very much so dead set on that gatekeeper. Like, oh, you got to talk to him, or, but no, that's my friend. Atlanta is very open, but Atlanta, no shade, is the city of scammers. I tell people, don't, like, be careful. And I really think that's just because they were so open and they welcome everyone and a lot of people. And because crazy enough, I think the things I've seen go wrong in Atlanta in, like, PR, the music, or even just entertainment, or even like branding things, were never someone from Atlanta. And I think because that market was so wide open, people took advantage of that from other places. They probably would have took advantage of it wherever they were from, but they definitely went there. And it gave the Atlanta market a bad name. But yeah, for a lot of times, people wouldn't work with someone unless they were in those places because they knew they had access. Because, it's very well to be able to walk into BET, and see somebody, or, walk in there and apply for an internship, and to get to know the system. But for someone who's in a place that's not there, going to those events and making that network is very important. But then on the downside, you have someone like me who has anxiety really bad. And I hate going to those events. Like South by Southwest our show will be on a Thursday. I'm leaving Friday morning. I don't care what happens Friday night, Saturday. To believe the rapture could take place in South by Southwest. And if it happens on Saturday, I missed it because I'm not staying. The first one, I did the whole week and I was like tortured.
Wow.
Like, my soul was in, like, I literally got home and could not talk to anyone for a week because I needed so much recharging. And it's just because sometimes that energy can get so, like, loud and combative. And I'm just like, I'm like, why are y'all like this? But then I also have to think that some people evoke and emote their passion and things a certain way. And my passion is usually a quiet, I would say it's one of those never ending, like I just keep working, but it's not loud. Some people do it in a very pushy way,
Yeah,
and
I understand.
that
I
triggers
definitely
me.
understand. I've been in situations where even if I host family for a long time, it's like, okay, like
Yeah,
I need
like
to sit down yesterday. I'm done. I'm done.
exactly.
My
I'm tired.
soul.
I'm tired of fake smiling. That's what it is. I'm like, I can't. My
No,
cheeks are tired.
seriously. So what do you
I'm
do for your self-care, since you do expend so much energy and we're always, connecting, and, how do you put your phone down? How do you tune into yourself?
You know what? I have realized that my self-care actually is me saying, Marty, it is okay to go to sleep. Marty, it is okay to, not answer those emails all the time, or things like that. So my self-care is actually learning how to be kind to myself. And I've
Mm.
actually realized that even when I talk to myself like that and I'm still working, it goes a lot smoother. Like when
Mm.
I tell myself I don't have to finish everything in a day, it's like my first step. But as far as like actual things, I would say just stepping away from my computer. I actually got into reading again. So I purposely joined a book club. So that makes me have to read this book, but then it also means I have to be off the computer for a little bit. I have to turn my phone
Nice.
on
Yes,
silent. Oh,
strategy.
yes.
See, it's all
See,
about the strategy.
even had to strategize the me time. That's crazy. But I think also one thing, the first thing I did, I actually set my phones to do not disturb
Yep.
after a certain time, my personal and my business phone, just because I realized I would be on my personal phone and I might hear a ding like on my Instagram or something like that and go, and it's somebody for business. And then I have to go to my business phone and I'm like, and
Right.
it starts a cycle.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
Oh.
I gave myself business hours.
Okay.
And I hold that line. So really I realized a lot of things from my self-care were learning how to actually be firm and verbalize to myself how to stay on that self. Because you could say, oh, I'm going to the spa on Friday all you want to and go, but if you're taking emails the whole time, how much self-care is that really? Because you're not even in the moments of what's going on. So really my first step to understanding what self-care was for me was actually standing firm on actually remembering to either slow down, you don't have to do everything in one day, or actually take this time. So, but one of the best ways like I actually abide by self-care is I go see my nephew, because where he lives, him and my sister live, there's literally no signal. They
Oh,
just got internet. Some people there still have dial-up. It's in the country, so
yeah.
there's nothing there that makes it
They
to where
still
I
have
can be
dial
distracted.
up? What? I
Yeah.
would love to go somewhere with dial up.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Like when I sent you the email, we were actually like at the hospital. I was in the parking lot. I was like, Lord, I hope this goes through. So,
Wow.
so that's one of the best ways. But I really realized the first way to self-care with me was like actually learning how to talk to myself in a caring way, because sometimes people don't understand. Like, actually, it was funny. For my birthday, I kind of got aggravated one time when someone was telling me, "Oh, it's your birthday. Put the computer down. Walk away." And I'm like, I can't do that right now. And I had my mother, and she was like, "Well, what are we gonna do this morning? What are we gonna do?" And I'm sitting here trying to send out emails so I can actually be free for the rest of the day. And I just had to say, just leave me alone. Everybody, just leave me alone, because
Yeah.
that was the first step. I said, I know what I have to do so I can do what I want to do.
Yes.
But really self-care, the first step was literally telling myself that it's okay not to work yourself crazy, because if not, you'll
Yes.
still do it. You'll just do it at a spa.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, that work-life balance is so important, especially in like super
Yeah.
demanding careers like this. And that's really, the pandemic has really brought us in the house and made us realize, like, listen, what really matters? Like, is it
Yeah.
really that email? Is it
Yeah.
really, even if you do get a placement in Essence or a placement in Vogue, or okay, that was dope as fuck. But then I'm tired as hell. I'm
What
irritated
next?
at the very people who care about me.
Exactly.
I'm hungry. I'm fucking like, it's just like, what is really the point? What's the big race for? Like, what are we really, okay,
You
so
don't
then
have,
you get on MTV or whoever, right? You Hollywood's
but you don't
next
have
big
anyone
star,
to,
but you don't have any
you don't
happiness
have
in
anyone
your
to share it with. Yeah. I went through that, and like, and then people are like, oh, there's all these likes and comments. I'm like, do you know like 55 of those people that like their comment are in my inbox right now asking for something? So by this time, is it really a win, or is it just an invitation to another job or another, relationship that's probably just going to be me giving and giving and giving and giving? And a part of that makes it sad that you have to look at things like that. A part of it makes me sad where I have to take Messenger off my phone throughout the week, or part of it makes me mad that, I do have to tell people past a certain time, only email me. But you kind of have to protect yourself like that. And I get it. And that's like for your own peace. And like I said, the biggest part of self-care and just the balance to me was learning how to tell myself that was okay. Setting boundaries was okay, because I thought the way to work yourself up and like, climb that ladder and get those opportunities was to always be available and to always be, ready to jump, and to always be this and to always be that. And like, to where now it's like, no, I'm not emailing BET at 2:00 in the morning, because BET is not going anywhere. BET will be there at 8:00 in the morning. And if they're there at 8:00 in the morning, Pacific Standard, Eastern, Central, Mountain Time, that's when I'm going to email them. So it took that. And I realized in doing that, I got a lot more done. I really did. I got a
Yes,
lot more
and
done
you do
because
when your brain.
I
Listen,
got to focus.
when your brain has had rest, it's going to work faster than when you think I'm burning a midnight oil. Girl, you got hella typos. Like, stop.
Exactly. I've done that. I've let people know, instead of telling people, oh, I'll get back to you tomorrow, I say, please give me until the end of the week. And if you get it before then, look, it's a surprise for both of us.
Right.
And if you get it after that, all I can do is say it was a crazy week. And then instead of keep saying tomorrow, 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 I actually just had it happen. I had got signed on to be a contributor for a website, and they wanted 3 stories or whatever every week. And I'm just like, what the hell? And I've literally got taken off the team twice now. And I'm not going to email her back for the 3rd time, because I realized if I couldn't even get those first 3 in, even though this has been a crazy month for me, I don't need to commit myself, because I'm going to end up being late all the time.
Yeah, and that's okay. And I think there is, and I know there is a world out there that continuously tells us that it's not okay to say no. You must, if you are not overachieving, you're not achieving.
Exactly.
Like, no, like,
and I'm like, and I start thinking about it to where it's like I could dwell on that and be like, oh, I lost the opportunity. But in my mind, I'm thinking, girl, you literally just signed 2 new people. What the hell time would you have to write about that? And then I'm also, of course, me being me, I'm one of those journalists. I don't like writing about my own clients, because I feel that's kind of like dirty. Because I could just copy and paste their press releases and it'll be a free win. I'm like, no, I actually want to investigate. I want to interview people. Well, evidently they wasn't giving me the time for that. So I was like, all right, peace out. I tried to get in WordPress, kept saying invalid. I said, all right, that's all I need to hear.
That's it. That's it.
But
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you feel comfortable sharing that, because somebody needs to hear that.
Yeah, don't
failure.
Every opportunity is not a missed opportunity. And even if you feel like, oh, it's a missed relationship, you could be a person like, I'm definitely going to email like, hey, I'm sorry, thank you for our opportunity, but I just realized my time wasn't available. But if you ever need anything, I would still like, and I'll still, because that's still me, like, hey, I can't be one that's held on deadline, if you need something, let me know. Like, that's always been me, because I keep relationships good, especially when needed, but I'm not going to kill myself for it anymore. Like, there's always a reason behind the madness. So, but yeah, if anyone's out there and they're thinking they have to do this, and this, like, yeah, you have to work hard, and yeah, you might have to do a couple of, overstep some things that you possibly thought you wouldn't have to do, but never go outside of your set principles. And also always remember your mission. Like I learned that very, very early, always focus on your goals, but be flexible about your methods. Things that you
right.
when you put like,
Yes.
oh, I'm never going to take a client under $1,000. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are,
Yes, you are. I'm here
sis.
to tell you you will. I'm here
Yes,
to
you
tell you you
will.
will. And it's not even because of a money thing, but honestly, you have to be honest with yourself. Like for me, when I started, I definitely was centered mostly in music and entertainment. And that's where I built my brand. And the first time I took a client in I'll say reality TV. Outside of music, the first outside client was reality TV. And she was like, well, my budget's $400 a month. Now, by this time, I'm charging music. I think I was charging around 13, 14 a month for music artists. And so to hear someone say 400 a month, and I was like, oh. But then I started thinking about it. Are my contacts as strong in lifestyle and TV and like that centered as they are in music? She doesn't have a place in Hip Hop Weekly. She doesn't have a place in Complex, but she definitely has a place on whatever channel news.
Mm-hmm.
Are my contacts as strong there? So I took that big cut because I've always been like an over deliver, underseller or whatever. And I'm like, she's taking a chance on me because she could have said, oh, you only do music. I'm not going to, I want to go with someone who work with people. And it worked out perfect. And then by the time we got through our contract, she was able to raise the price. It still wasn't where music, but it was more than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized like that helped because the next person who came to me from lifestyle was at 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
And I had those contacts there because I was like, I humbled myself and take the 4 because I'm probably going to have to do a lot of growing with you. And I know you would feel more comfortable growing with someone at 400 versus trying to be concrete at 12. But yeah, music artists, I've never went under. And that's because of the aggravation that comes with them. But for starting out, I tell people you're going to do a lot of those things, and don't feel bad when, you're in these groups or you're in conversations with other publicists or you see these people posting, never work for this, never do that, never. If it worked for you and you didn't feel like you went outside your morals and you don't feel dirty at the end of the day and you don't feel, that you played yourself, do what the fuck you want to do, because you have to do that. You have to get there.
Yeah,
and you don't
I completely agree. Thank you for
and
that.
you don't know. Yeah, and you don't know. They don't know your circumstances. They don't know. You don't know theirs. Because I've done things like with people. I'm like, well, I'm gonna charge you this because I know, if that's your budget. Like for instance, I had a lady. She wanted PR, and her whole budget was just $1,000. I said, well, I can't do that. But what I can do is help you with your social media branding, because your social media branding is a little off to where it won't appeal to the people you're trying to appeal to. So that was, it was one payment, but literally it's me on Canva for 3 months making graphics. And it's fine. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to write a press release. I don't have to do a callback. So I don't have to do any of that. So there's ways to where, that's why I said be flexible about you. And the more flexible you are, you'll see opportunities come to you, because you'll realize that it puts you in a lot of different rooms. It puts you in a lot of different people, and things will grow, and they'll start to see, that you have a genuine complex. I've been told like none of my campaigns are the same, because I try to do everything custom. Like if I have 2 clients that are within the same genre, they'll never be in the same publication within the same like 2-3 months. Because to me, that looks corny personally, because it kind of just means you just slide stuff to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or even when people come to me, can I get so-and-so interviewed here? I'm like, that doesn't even fit. Like, he's 25, like, or he's 21. He's a 21-year-old R&B singer. Why do you want him on a platform for like Black media professionals? Like, it doesn't work. But I guess the sum of look is a look, and I'll never discount that, because that works for some people. Me personally, I have a thing with longevity, and I have a thing with the appeal, and I have a thing with like, I'm also very thoughtful as far as like when my clients leave me and they either go to another publicist or not, can what we did still work for them? And if it does, that's always the goal. I want someone to say after they got through working with me, they gained something. other than just, a press kit. It could be followers, revenue. Like, I think my biggest win, that lifestyle, the first reality TV client, she was just on one season of a show. And it's actually not like it's on own network, but it's not like Love and Hip Hop, which is like the pop culture reality show. It was one that's more for a demographic centered, like niche audience. And from that, and working together and doing different things, she got booked on a show with TV1 as far as like a part of one of their programs that they have. And that booking agent called me back and booked her for a spot doing something like on a live. And literally for 15 minutes, she made $6,000 on that. She sent me the contract. And I got to the person. I said, "Is this right?" She said, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yeah, can you make?" I said, "Yeah, she'll do it. She'll do it. She'll do it." Well, see, no, I'm telling you, she'll do it. It's fine. She'll do it. But things like that, just because they remembered her personality, and at this time, me and that person were like, we had kind of cut the contract because Corona had affected her, because she's a DJ so much. And she's an international DJ. So traveling and clubs were out. So for me to be able, like, I could have been, the asshole and been like, "Oh, I don't work with her anymore." Like, what would that have done?
Nothing.
Like, so
that's
I'm coming to her.
Relationships are so important in PR.
Exactly.
And really just beyond, and I think it's intimidating to learn about the press release and the media alerts and, all of these things that come into making the events or whatever your lane is for PR. But I think people need to know at the end of the day, it's about being professional and building relationships, and
yeah.
really
I told you, I didn't know what a step and repeat was.
Exactly. And I mean, how would you know? Like, you have to do it in order to find out what you don't know. You're not gonna reading all and who you know, and respect the publicist, and publicists for the culture and media, all of this stuff, right? Reading all of it does not mean anything. You have to do it. You have to make a mistake.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you've seen in some of those groups, like, some of the answers they give these people. And I'm one of those, I read them and I go back. It was a young girl. This actually just happened. Young girl, she asked questions and she's like, "I'm not asking for a free. I just had this so-and-so, so-and-so." And no one answered her. And something said, "Just DM her." And I DM'd her and asked, "What was your question?" And she was starting out, she had her first client. And she had a good first client. She was lucky because her first client, he's like verified. He's on TikTok, got like 2 million followers. I'm like, "Oh, girl, your life about to be a little easy." But I guess she's very stuck on structure. And but this is how karma works for you. She's like the programming booker for like Condé Nast in New York. She's like Fuse TV and GQ and Vogue. She books for those. So if I ever, and they not saying like they ignored her, and not saying that every relationship works out like that, but that's why I'm so stuck on kind of being that person sometimes, because people remember when they thought they had nothing to offer. They remember who gives them that time and gives them something. And like, me and her talk a lot, and I've never needed to like use or ask a contact of her, but just to know that she's in that area at that young but still so unsure about PR blows my mind, because I'm like, what are we showing people? Like, what are we telling people to where somebody who literally controls the booking for GQ is unsure of how their press release should sound? Like, who's like made a standard for people to where it should look like this or sound like that? And it's so crazy.
That is a conversation. We need to have that conversation again.
Because I still have a PR series,
because that's serious.
Yeah. I'm like, what are these standards? And then it's so crazy. We have, I know as far as like a lot of us who are independent publicists and probably Black independent publicists, we still go by this standard that, like, no shade, a lot of white PR companies have built. And I'm like, it don't work like that. It can't work like that. That same tone doesn't work. I said, you get to the point to where you're like the Leads Group and all those in New York, and they're great. Oh, he represents so-and-so, so-and-so. I said, by that time, you're not a publicist. You're just a scheduler, because she's not pitching Michael B. Jordan anymore.
Right.
Like, she's not pitching. I'm working with an 18-year-old kid from Bronx, New York, trying to get him on Complex because it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Bad Bunny, I don't have to pitch him. Like, and there's certain things. And you would think that people were more sensitive and kind of relevant. Like, everyone has a place. So even when people pitch me for me to cover them in a journalism spot, if they don't fit the publication, because I know the editor might be like, whatever. And that's more on the logistics and numbers part. I hate it, but I get it. I still come back with them like, hey, it didn't work for this publication, but I have one for you. And I'll put them somewhere, because I know at the end of the day, they're just trying to go back to their client with a win.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I've always thought like that. I'm like, how can I make someone at least feel like they did not waste their complete time? Now, when I feel like ain't no work put behind it, I'm just like, and that's more so on the people who are like, they just refuse to try to learn the correct way themselves first, or they want someone else to do it for them. You kind of feel that vibe too. But no, I've really always thought about, I'm like, who set these standards? Like, because I still have seasoned PR people who I'm like, well, can you send me when we're doing an interview, I'm like, I thought it was standard to send a bio, a picture. My client, so I'm like, cool, can you say, oh, well, she doesn't really have a bio. I'm like, and then I start thinking, so if that's the case, how come I've seen you, cuss out people when they ask questions like, oh, that's a question needed for a consult. You don't even have a bio. So I'm like, where are these standards coming from to where we make others feel, less superior, less than, or, not as, I'm like, that's so unfair. Because like I tell people, I haven't had an intern because I know my shit is raggedy sometimes. And I don't want to have to teach somebody how to be raggedy, because I'm pretty sure when you're an intern, you go into things thinking, oh, it's going to be here, I'm going to be able to log on. No. My website still ain't done. And then I had to pay somebody to get it to the part to where it is now. And then the rest I'm supposed to complete, and still ain't done it. So,
hey, look, that's what I'm saying. People have to understand, life is happening.
Look,
life is happening as you're learning how to build a business, and the level of transparency, and you see all of these gurus in business and and it's like they paint this beautiful picture of how to build your business from A to Z in 30 days. There are some copy and paste businesses that you can do that with. An e-commerce store, for example.
Template. Right. You could use a template for e-commerce, drop shipping, even whatever, but where you're trying to sell the personality behind it, it's not going to work.
You're trying to sell a person to another person. It's not like you selling a journal or something to a planner girl. No, exactly. That's not how
it's not going to work.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Oh, you're fine. It never works like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. And I think people need to understand, like, you absolutely positively cannot be, you just stop with the bullshit. Like, stop lying to people. And, because then, just to really wrap this up, that is perpetuating this anxiety. That is perpetuating this idea that you're less than. When you scroll on Instagram and you see all of these highlights from people, and then they got this template on how you're supposed to be the baddest, bossest bitch in 30 days and make $1,000. Like, not if you ain't never had no business experience. Not if you don't know how to type an email.
Exactly.
Not if you can't get over the fact that you don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, you have to learn how to do this. This is a learned skill. This is not something that's just like, oh, okay, or you can try to do that, and you're going to be laughed out of the room because of your incompetence. Now, you can do all of this templates and whatever, and, just, try to microwave a PR agency or a marketing firm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want to be a professional and you really want to show up as a powerful woman, somebody that people respect, somebody that people look to for counsel, somebody that people ain't just like doing some BS, then you have to take this seriously.
Yeah,
For
you
real.
have the originality in it, and it's crazy. I got a lot of I built my brand without a website. Like, I didn't have a website, I didn't have a formal anything. The most I had was my email address. And I would still say I love the fact that I do have a scheduler now on a website for people to kind of go on and get. Like I said, it's not finished, but I realized at the end of the day, that's not what gets people there. And that's not, like, somebody told me, how much do you charge for a consult? I'm like, well, first I do a 15-minute free call, because one, I want to know if what you're looking for is even what I do. Because a lot of these people, they want this and this, and they think it's a publicist, but I'm like, no, you want a digital marketer. You want somebody that's going to target people to get you to 1 million views here. It's no skin off my back, because I'd rather me tell you I'm not the one for you than for me to take your money and then tell you then I feel bad. Because that would make me feel bad. Some people don't have that. I admire the people who don't care. I personally, that would make me feel bad. So I'm like, go ahead and get it. But I've just worked like that. Like, my name is clean here, and I like to keep it that way in any any area that I step in. That's why I said, the thing with the publication, with the website, I can't make that 3-a-week deadline. And I respect the fact that you all don't give people the time to lax, but hey, I just couldn't do it.
3
Sorry.
a week. Yeah,
Does that
that's
mean
not something that I can do. I need time to
exactly.
I need time to
exactly. And especially the way that I want to
that just
be
made my
known.
hair hurt.
Yeah, especially the way that I do my journalism things. Every publication I wrote for, it's either been event coverage or interview. I don't do just copy and paste. That's not me. So it's going to take a little bit longer than a week because I got to wait on his schedule. It's going to, like, I don't do just throw it up and throw. I interview people. So that's going to have to go somewhere else. Fine, whatever. But but just in PR, I've realized there's a lot of these weird quotas and standards and just like unspoken rules. And it's so funny. Like, I have a really, really good friend, and she's more on the content side, and she is really good friends with another publicist. And I personally told her, I said, I don't know her as a person, but the persona that she puts on as a publicist is nauseating to me. I said, and the reason why it's nauseating to me is because she's so stuck on being by the book that she literally makes herself seem like she's like has nothing in her veins. Like, I would have rather had, like, I'm very transparent. And I'm like that with my clients. I'll tell them we didn't get this. Like, I had one girl, she said, I'm afraid to tell them we didn't get that spot. Tell them. Like, tell them you didn't get the placement, but we got this, we got that. We'll try again, and tell them why. Like, I had told my client, you're not going to get in Revolt right now because you're Puerto Rican. They only want Black news in Revolt. He understood. Cool. So we go somewhere else, and Revolt's not stuck in the front of his head anymore. I'm like, you got to be honest with yourself. I was honest with myself when I took the cut to 400 because I realized I'm gonna have to do a lot of bottom work with her. I can't just make phone calls for somebody that's outside of music right now. I had to grow that lane, and it worked out. So being true to yourself, which you have to learn in any aspect of life, but especially in business, is very important. Like I used to, like, these gurus. I'm like, two things about those. Oh, I made $1 million in a month with these steps. Buy my course for $200. I'm like, okay, did you make $1 million because of what you did? Or you made $1 million because you're selling something for $200 and enough people bought it for $200 that made you $1 million? Because if you can show me how you made $1 million off of $5, you invested $20 and made you $1 million. Why the hell I'm gonna give you 200? Because 180 of my dollars could have been put to where I'm making 180 million. So, like, what did you do? So I'm thinking, are you making money from what you do? Or are you making money from telling people how to do what you think you should have did? So it's a lot of questions. And then plus, so when I see things like that, I'm just like, No,
That's
it's not.
hilarious. That's
Uh,
hilarious. I mean, listen, I can't knock the hustle. Do what you got to do, sis.
exactly. Do
But
what you gotta do,
everybody
but
not gonna, everything ain't for everybody. And I think like that's what makes us beautiful as human beings. That we are so diverse, especially Black women, and especially in this industry. And I really just wanted to really just hear what you had to say about
yeah.
the PR industry. It is very interesting. It's exciting, and you know there is a lot of success to be had if you get serious. And the last thing I
Yes.
wanted to really talk to you about was, and I think that you will have something really great to say because your birthday was yesterday. So, what is Black joy? And I really want to talk to you about your experience as a Black woman in America, really, and using your birthday as like your new year, because
Hmm.
and
Yes.
really reflecting as you age on kind of what type of person you are in this world. What do you think your role is? What do you think your responsibility is? Where do you get your joy from? And just I really just wanted to dig just a little deep into that about, especially since your birthday just passed.
Well, thank you so much for that. But that was really that's a great question. Actually, this birth I turned 33, and I've been in therapy for about a year going on maybe two. And my therapist told me this year you have to learn how to celebrate yourself,
Nice.
because I realized I was doing things. I have this weird relationship with validation, and I
Mm,
have this very weird relationship when I see people. I have this very like weird relationship with not wanting to seek it from others, but feeling like, not saying so I need it, but a small piece of me wanting it, when really that small piece was me being scared to give it to myself.
mm,
And so I had to learn how to celebrate myself, which is like while I had like a birthday dinner and I'm going on a vacation, just because
yes.
I had to take control of that first. I couldn't like ask people, "Oh, did I do good?" Because like, yeah, you did. But then it's always I'm like, "Did I really do good? Do you think I did good?" Like, so I had to get over that.
Right,
So
right.
or are you saying I did good because you want something from me? Or so I think my
Yes.
joy really has came from, again, where I said like self-talk starts with you telling yourself it's okay to, relax and not do something or actually be in the moment. My joy actually came from me telling myself that it was okay to think I did a good job. No
Period.
matter if anyone else said it, no matter if I got 200 likes on the picture or whatever. And then I think I said on Facebook, I start every day with telling myself, I'm good enough for my destiny.
Period.
I'm good enough for, you know, what I manifest. Because I think we get in our own ways. We'll manifest this, and we'll think on it and we'll pray on this good life, but we still have this back of my mind, it's ever gonna happen. Like you can't do that.
Mm.
You could
I'm scared.
question
Uh-uh.
you could question yourself as far as like, because we have those moments where everyone questions yourself as far as like, am I making the right decision today? But you're never supposed to question what you want out of yourself. You're never supposed to question your goals. Question your methods, because those change, because those deal with everyday life and people. Things change, so you have to adapt. But never question if the goal that you wanted for yourself is out of reach. And I think my joy came in realizing that this part to that is what I'm supposed to enjoy, you know,
Right.
and and holding.
Woo!
And
Well,
once
that's
I
a
realized
beautiful
I'm supposed to
insight. That's
enjoy it,
awesome, girl. Yes.
yeah. And when I and once I realized I'm supposed to enjoy it,
Period.
not discounting, the highs and lows in life, but I'm supposed to enjoy it. That helped me become so strong in setting my boundaries. That helped me become so strong in telling people no. That helped me become so strong in knowing some days I'm gonna look at my computer, it ain't gonna be on, but I'm gonna look at it, but my brain might not stop. I might have um I might write 25 new ideas, and that's work. Just because I didn't send an email, just because I didn't gain a
That
placement, just
is
because I didn't get a
work.
response, just because I didn't book a new client, just because I didn't pitch 500 times. That thinking and writing that down, or even thinking in my head and putting the plan together, that was a day of work. So once I
Yes.
realized that this road to whatever goal that I have set myself for, and whatever goal I tell myself I'm good enough for, and focus on the road to that is my choice.
Mm.
So outside of adapting to the highs and the lows of that road, I get to control that road. And if it doesn't fit in that, I can change it. And so a lot of peace came. A lot of peace
Girl.
came within that. And again, you're gonna have your breakdowns. You're gonna have, just like when you're on the road, you can buy a brand new car and the tire go out.
For real.
The car's still new, just get a new tire.
That's it.
Just get a new tire and keep
That's
going.
wrong with it.
Life
Life is a symphony of highs and lows.
Life is that. I think that's pretty much where my joy and kind of like the focus from certain things came from, as far as like how I looked at people. I stopped being friends just because it made getting into contact easier. I stopped answering the phone for a person because I felt like I owed them or they owed me. So yeah, I kind of realized it'll come when it's supposed to. So just focus on your goal. Know you're good enough for that goal. Never lose sight of that goal, but just roll with what comes along the way with that goal. And that's literally where I draw my peace and my joy from.
And we're going to end with that, ladies and
motherfucking
gentlemen. Girl,
Thank you.
that is so awesome. Thank you so. We are
Thank
over
you so
our
much
time.
for accommodating me.
We are at 55 minutes, girl. We had a lot to say. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope you had a great birthday.
You.
Enjoy your vacation. Please put the phone down.
I will. So, but thank you so much for, the schedule changes. I'm like, I don't want her to think I don't want to do it. So I appreciate you accommodating me, and thank you for thinking about me.